Imagine living in a world controlled by numbers attached to your body, and once the number reaches 0, you will be sent into the abyss. The story begins with a girl named Hina. She lives in a post-apocalyptic town called Alcia where the people all have numbers attached to their bodies, which can represent anything about that person's life. For example, the number could represent the amount of times you've helped someone, the number of times you've been cheated on, or even how many times you've been rejected by someone. 5 years ago, Hina witnessed her mother being taken into the abyss because her number had dropped to 0. The last thing her mother told her was to find a man known as the legendary Ace and gave her a glass orb with the number 10,000 inside it. While Hina is talking to her friends about the legendary Ace, a masked man suddenly appears out of nowhere and scares her friends away. The man introduces himself as Lickbuck, a mysterious and strange figure who attempts to get a closer look at Hina's number, which is placed right on the side of her thigh. Hina, feeling uncomfortable, kicks him and runs away. Lick pursues her, but she gets help from a girl named Nana who seems to know Lick and tells him to leave Hina alone. Nana owns a restaurant and offers Hina some food. She also asks for Hina's name, and Hina writes her name in Chinese, which impresses Nana. Hina opens up about her mother, explaining that her mother was taken into the abyss and she didn't understand what happened. Nana reveals to Hina that everyone in Alcia has a number on their body which controls their world. From birth, they are obligated to have a number that counts something specific about their lives. Nana's number, currently at 77, represents how many times people have praised her cooking, and when they criticize it, her number decreases. Hina's number is 441, and she explains that her mother told her it represents the distance she's walked, increasing by 1 after every 100 kilometers. Hina shares that she's always been walking because she's been searching for a man known as the legendary Ace her whole life. Nana informs Hina about an important rule regarding the numbers: you cannot disobey a person with a higher number than yours. It's a social status of sorts, and Hina is advised to always remember this rule. Suddenly, some guards appear, and one of them, Sergeant Davy, has a number on his face with a star next to it. He claims to be the legendary Ace that Hina has been searching for, leading to an emotional moment for Hina. However, the man who posed as the legendary Ace takes Hina and tries to get closer to her, but she distracts him with the mysterious orb her mother left her. When she reveals the orb, they all become stunned and the guards draw their swords. The sergeant asks Hina to hand over the orb, but she refuses, causing him to become angry. Hina, with her higher count, asserts that the sergeant cannot attack her and must obey her commands. He complies, but then proposes a star stake, a duel in which the winner takes the count from the loser as a way to avoid following her orders. Hina has no choice but to accept the duel, as refusing would lead to her immediate banishment to the abyss. They engage in the duel, but Hina quickly surrenders, granting the victory to the sergeant. The hands from the abyss take away Hina's number, leaving her with only 1, which is then given to the sergeant, increasing his count. Hina is confused and scared, unable to comprehend why the supposed legendary Ace would deceive her. However, the man reveals that he was pretending all along and confesses that he is not the real legendary Ace. His deception was solely to steal the orb from Hina. Just as he is about to take the orb, Licht appears to save Hina. He displays his hand with a number of -999 and challenges the sergeant to a star stake. The sergeant, initially laughing at the idea of dueling someone with a negative number, launches an attack at Licht. During their battle, the sergeant's companions realize that they are fighting someone with a negative count, which is not normal. Ordinary people would be sent to the abyss after reaching 0. The sergeant eventually comprehends this and stops the fight, asking who Licht really is. Licht reveals his true number, 5,700 with a star, and Hina recognizes him as the real legendary Ace her mother had wanted her to find. The sergeant doubts Licht's authenticity as a legendary Ace and claims that the Aces disappeared 300 years ago. He convinces his guards that Licht is a fake Ace, prompting them to attack Licht. As the fight ensues, Nana serves food to a customer who inquires about the commotion. Nana explains that the legendary Aces, marked with white shining stars, possess 2 numbers, and Licht has 5,700 on his blade, representing the number of foes he's defeated in battle. However, his hand bears a count of -999, reflecting the times he has been rejected by women. The legendary aces emerged around 300 years ago to fight the Waste War and have abilities far superior to regular human warriors. Licht emerges victorious in his duel with the sergeant, and the hands from the abyss take the sergeant's number, giving it to Hina. She is elated by this turn of events. However, Licht seizes the orb her mother gave her, claiming he can sell it for a fortune. He explains that the orb, known as a ballad, has the power to enhance one's abilities. Hina questions his motives, but Licht suggests that perhaps he is not the legendary ace she was seeking, as there are other aces besides him. He leaves a doll on the ground as a trade for the ballad and departs, leaving Hina feeling betrayed. Devastated, Hina walks back to the village and meets Nana at the restaurant. She tearfully expresses her disbelief in Licht's actions, feeling that the legendary ace has deceived her. Nana advises her to open the doll that Licht left, and to Hina's surprise, she finds the ballad inside. Nana reveals that Licht's intention was to protect Hina from Alcyon law, which prohibits owning a ballad. If it were known that she possessed one, she would be branded a criminal and hunted down by the guards. Licht took the ballad to shield Hina and secretly placed it inside the doll for her to discover. Realizing Licht's true intentions, Hina chases after him, shouting his name as he leaves the city. However, she is unable to catch up to him, and she voices her anger and disappointment, declaring him a liar. At that moment, Licht's number changes from -999 to -1000. Some days later, two other characters, Sergeant Lin Mei and Sergeant Peel, are introduced. They are currently on a search for the legendary ace who is wanted by the law. Lin is a somewhat clumsy girl whose number represents the number of times she has helped other people, leading her to assist those in need constantly. Her partner, Peel, reminds her of the importance of capturing the criminal known as Lichtbach, who is still at large and believed to be disguising himself with a unique mask. As they walk through town, they encounter Licht, who is wearing a peculiar mask and disguised as a dessert vendor. Lin approaches Licht, claiming to recognize him. He convinces her that he is not the person depicted in the wanted poster, stating that his mask is entirely different from the one in the image. Licht also offers an unusual reason for wearing a mask. He has been rejected by 1,000 women and cannot bear to look another woman in the eyes. Peel seizes this opportunity to suggest a date for Lin and Licht to increase Lin's number. They spend the day together, holding hands and sharing a meal. The more Licht enjoys himself, the higher Lin's number will rise. Suddenly, Peel interrupts the date, pointing out that Licht is indeed the legendary ace due to the number on his hand, which is -1000. In the world of Alcia, normal people do not have negative numbers, and anyone reaching 0 is sent to the abyss. Lin realizes the significance of this and removes Licht's mask, confirming his identity as the man on the wanted poster. She attempts to attack Licht, but he easily dodges her moves and swiftly escapes. Meanwhile, Hina confides in Nana, expressing her desire to search for Licht. Suddenly, a man named Jael Murdoch, a lieutenant of the Royal Guards from Alcia, appears. He demands that Nana reveal Licht's whereabouts, threatening arrest. Nana claims that Licht went east, prompting the troops to begin their pursuit of the legendary ace. The lieutenant eventually tracks down Licht and attempts to apprehend him. However, Licht breaks free and engages in a battle with the guards, ultimately emerging victorious due to his unique abilities. Following the conflict, the lieutenant instructs Lin to explain what a ballot holder is and why they want to apprehend Licht. Lin elaborates that a ballot is an illegal orb that grants special abilities to its holder. The lieutenant is a ballot holder with the ability to manipulate iron, creating objects such as iron spikes and structures for combat. A ballot's strength depends on the holder's current count. Licht points out that the lieutenant's count is only 900, while his own count is 5,700. Consequently, it would not be wise to engage in a fight. Despite the warning, the lieutenant uses his iron abilities to attack Licht. Realizing the power of Licht's abilities, the lieutenant resorts to teleporting into the sky and constructing a massive iron tower to defeat him. This attack knocks down Licht, who remains on the ground. Jael then reveals his true count, a staggering 12,500. A formidable battle ensues between Licht and the lieutenant, each displaying exceptionally powerful abilities. Jael seizes this opportunity to demonstrate his full powers. After their intense duel, Licht eventually escapes, leaving the lieutenant in disbelief. Licht walks through the meadows wearing a bird mask and is greeted by Hina, who has been searching for him. While they converse in the field, they notice a bird-shaped object in the sky, which turns out to be a girl who was flying the bird-like device. However, she nearly crashes into the cliffs and Licht intervenes just in time, using his unique flying ability to save her. The girl's dream of flying is realized as she has dedicated her life to achieving it. She introduces herself as Pelmo and expresses her desire to fly regardless of the Alcyon law that prohibits flying in Elza. Licht educates her about the law and she shares her unwavering determination to pursue her dream. She completes our final design for her next flying machine and asks Licht and Hina if they would like to do a test flight. But right at that moment, the royal guards are seen approaching them, so Licht quickly broke the machine to prevent them from seeing it and saving Pelmo. After the guards leave, Licht and Hina offer Pelmo to help her build another flying machine. However, she tells them it's already too late and her count drops from 1 to a 0. She gets taken into the abyss while getting dragged into the abyss. She explains that her count is based on her dream coming true, but since she's failed to fly once again, this time her number reached 0. They both attempt to save her, but the hands stop them. Licht tries slicing the hands, but it only damages himself and she still gets dragged into the abyss. Some time passes and Licht and Hina are still together walking around the town markets. There, they end up meeting Lin. She approaches Licht and thanks him for saving her when she fell off the mountain. But right after she tries to arrest him, Licht attempts to escape, but soon the lieutenant arrives and they begin to fight in the streets. Soon they are interrupted by Nana, who tells them they can't fight in the town or they will end up destroying the whole city. After the fight, the lieutenant is notified about a town under attack, so he visits the area and to his surprise, the whole place has been wiped out. A survivor tells Jail what had happened here and he explains that the town's lake has turned into a swirling pit of darkness and that a demon rose from the lake and started attacking the city. Suddenly, a noise was heard from the hole and they all get ready to fight the demon. But it turns out that the demon they thought was attacking the town was actually a modern military helicopter, something they've never seen before. As this helicopter is a vehicle from far in the future, they're all trying to understand what it is and how to stop it. Jail protects everyone with his iron barrier and Licht tells everyone in the town to run. Licht then begins to attack the helicopter, but to his surprise, the hands of the abyss sprout from the ground and start helping the helicopter. They all seem to be targeting Licht, and this is because they now see him as a threat for slicing the hands when he was trying to save Pelmo. So now they see him as the enemy. The hands realize that the chopper is also the real threat and try their best to take it down. But they can't seem to reach it, and every time Licht tries to get close to it, they block him. The lieutenant tells Hina he can't help him because attacking the hands of the abyss is breaking the rules and he would be instantly sent to the abyss. We see that Licht is having a hard time going against the hands in the helicopter. So then the lieutenant finally gives in and decides to help him. But when they defeat the chopper, a girl appears from the abyss named Sanahara and she refers to Licht as her commander. The lieutenant Jail asks Sanahara who she is, but she instantly shot him, leaving him badly injured. Hina is shocked and asks who she is, and she tells everyone that she's another one of the legendary aces. A long time ago, Licht was her commander who ordered her to kill people. So she continues to follow his commands even to this day. But Licht tells her it's wrong and tries to stop her. She tells Licht that she has a power where she can control the bullets, moving them in any direction she wants, and they sneak up behind him. Licht falls to the ground. After he falls, Sanahara's soldiers show up and hold them all hostage. While Licht is still laying on the ground, he eventually gets back up and Sanahara begs Licht to turn back into the real plunderer. But Licht refuses and tells her to let them all go. However, she declines his request and says that if he doesn't turn back, she will take them all out. Right before she eliminates them, Licht takes out all the guards in under a millisecond and reveals to everyone that his real name is the Plunderer and saves all his friends. Sanahara gets excited to see the real legendary ace and they bet on their stars in a star stake. Sanahara's count is at 32,000 while Licht's is only 5,700, making her the stronger opponent. But Pele knew about the legends of aces and their true power and tells everyone that Licht is actually hiding his true power. At this moment, Licht turns into the real legendary ace and we see him transform into a soulless demon whose only objective is to eliminate all his enemies. We see his sword count being boosted all the way up to 57,000. After Licht easily wins the duel with Sanahara just before he finishes her off with his final strike, the lieutenant gets in the way and saves her. At this moment, Licht has completely lost all his sanity and seems to think everyone around him is his enemy. So he begins to use all his power to fight Lieutenant Jail. But the lieutenant surprises him by unleashing his full maximum strength with his iron ability and creates an iron demon monster which he can control to fight Licht while he's in the legendary ace form. Jail manages to knock Licht out unconscious. And when he wakes up, he's now back to his normal self and tells everyone he's sorry for what he'd done to them. After the fight with Licht, Jail visits the Supreme Commander named Alexandra of Grigorovich, who's in charge of all guards, in Elza and also the father of Jail. But they are not related by blood as he was adopted by Alexandra when he was younger. Jail begins to ask him some questions about Licht and how he was able to change the count on his sword all by himself. Then the Supreme Commander told Jail that the aces have the ability to change their count by themselves because they were specially made this way during an experiment 300 years ago in the Waste War, and they were all boosted to synchronize with ballots. And they've done this by using surgery. He explains that they are a squad of unstoppable beings, and Lichtback was the leader of all the aces and is a threat to everyone, including their soldiers. After hearing what the Supreme Commander just told him, Jail goes to confront Licht about it and tries to arrest him. But Nana told Jail not to listen to the commander as Licht is not the real threat here and how they've made it this far by believing in Licht. She then reveals to everyone that she's also a legendary ace and sends them 300 years in the past so they can see what really happened. While being teleported, she tells them to try and change what happened and that it's the only way he will be able to save his men. When they enter the world from 300 years ago, everything is totally different from what they're used to. They are standing outside a school where they see Sanahara and they also see Licht, but Sanahara calls him by his real name, which is actually Rahito Sakai. He no longer has his white hair and is also younger. However, they are all unsure whether it's really Licht. So they all enter the high school and Jail is amazed by how the technology in this world is far superior to the tech they have in Alcia, despite it being 300 years in the past. They all come to realize that the world from the past was actually a modernized world with electricity and water taps. They then enter the school halls and Hina gets pushed by a student named Dwan Takatora. Lin tries to help her, but she also gets hit by Dwan. So Jail confronts him but realizes he no longer has the ballot and all his powers are gone. Sanahara tells Dwan to stop fighting, but he doesn't listen. Then another student appears and tells Dwan to leave them alone. His name is Sakai Takakazi and he is the brother of Rahito. They also confirm that Rahito Sakai is, in fact, Licht as he is still attracted to Hina just like in the other world. But all of a sudden, one of the instructors of the school named Alan tells them that they are now all soldiers part of a war. Then, a girl named Ferenda explains to all the students that their whole nation is in danger due to a large food shortage, and this is causing the deaths of many people. After saying this, the Supreme Director named Box Schumerman comes out and starts to read a poem to test all the students and see who can follow orders. After reading part of the poem, some of the students begin to laugh. So Box told them to stop laughing, but the students didn't stop. The director walks over and shoots the three who are still laughing. The others get scared and try to escape the hall. But then Box explains that this was a necessary training exercise to see who can follow orders in serious times. After Box tells Rahito to break his neck or he will eliminate Hina, and he's once again only doing this as a test to see how far they would go. But Rahito tells him he won't do it. And after hearing this, everyone from the future knew it was Licht as he would have said the same thing. After that, he told them it was all a test and the director was using paintballs instead of bullets. And then the three students got up. The reason he does these tests is to essentially create a team of the strongest students who he can use to eliminate all his enemies for him instead of doing it himself. And this is how the origin of how the legendary aces were created. Box called it the ACE Project, and they begin to do surgical tests on rats by increasing their violent tendencies. Then Box pulls out a ballot, an orb that came from out of space and is known as alien technology. Whoever possesses it will increase all their abilities and be able to alter the laws of physics and do things that no other man will be able to do. So Box tells Ferenda to give the ballot to the rat, and we see that the rat has turned completely insane and has incredible overpowered strengths. It is also as fast as the speed of light. Jail was watching them do the experimenting and gets caught. But luckily, a young Nana saves him. He then finds out from the young Nana that the Nana from the future wanted him to prevent the surgery being done on Licht and stop the directors from forming the legendary aces. She also tells him she was the first ever legendary ace and her real ability is time travel so she can communicate with her older self from Alcia. After talking with Nana, he leaves the room and a director named Alexandrov tells Jail that he knows he's not from their world, to which Jail replies saying he's the lieutenant from the future in a town called Alcia, and he was the one who trained him into the lieutenant. After we see the same experiments are being done on Licht and the Major Bach himself, as he wanted to become one of the legendary aces. And there was a total of 7 aces after the experiment. Licht wakes up and now has white hair and red eyes, just like before. But the Major hasn't responded well to the surgery, so before he dies, he gives Licht his special sword, which is not any ordinary sword, as this is, in fact, a ballot but in the form of a sword, which he can use to boost all his powers at any given time. The students outside are with the soldiers who threaten them. But Licht came outside just in time to save them, and we see that he has all kinds of special powers and abilities far beyond anything they've ever seen before. They're then transported back to 300 years in the future, and Hina realizes that they can't change Licht's fate as he was always destined to be the legendary ace. She starts to cry and tells him to try and hold on to this moment for 300 years until they meet again. Then they fade back into their world while she's screaming out to Licht and begging him to remember her during the 300 years. They use Licht as their own lethal weapon, and he takes out several armies and many enemy troops all around the world. But Licht is still aware of what they've done to him and tries going against the other aces until he ends up fighting another legendary ace who ends up being Dwan from high school. He blames Licht for changing his ways and trying to go against them. So they have a battle and they both show their maximum abilities. However, Dwan gets help from Sanahara and Nana tells Dwan to stop fighting Licht as he's not the one in the wrong. However, Dwan wouldn't listen and uses his final combo attack on Licht. But Licht manages to defeat Dwan, saving Hina and the rest of his friends. We then see Hina and Licht back in the future together, and the story ends here. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed and turn on the notification bell so you never miss out on another video. Until next time guys, take care.